Beginning our list at number 25 is former Xavier girls soccer coach Doug Graham. His tenure with the Saints was not especially long, but he made hay while the sun shone. Part of one of the great girls' athletic dynasties in Iowa history, Doug won 5 straight state championships in his only 5 seasons at the helm of the Saints. Part of a stretch that included 8 straight championships for the Saints, something that's never been done in any girls' sport in Iowa history. Doug also spent a couple of years leading the Prairie girls team to double-digit wins, and we should give a nod to the coaches who came before and after Doug. Raven Blackwell and Bailey Dorrington, also coaches who were part of that Xavier dynasty. But 5 championships in 5 seasons is truly something that can set somebody apart. Doug Graham is our number 25 prep coach of the century. Number 24 is the first of many wrestling coaches on our list, Rick Caldwell. In 1999, Rick took over a Waverly Shell Rock program that had seen only moderate success on a statewide level, but Caldwell turned them into one of the great wrestling dynasties in Iowa. The school had never won a team title before he arrived, and by the time he retired 12 years later, he'd led the GoHawks to 5 traditional team titles, 4 dual team titles, 20 individual state champions, 114 qualifiers, and in 2005, he was named the state's Coach of the Year. In his retirement, he's been inducted into the Iowa and National Wrestling Halls of Fame, a man who set the stage for one of the state's greatest wrestling programs. Rick Caldwell is our number 24 prep coach of the century. Number 23 on our list is a man who, given just a few more years, could cement his place as one of the best football coaches in Iowa history, Travis Zajac. He's only been Grundy Center's head football coach since 2019, but in that time, he's put the Spartans on the map. In 6 years, Zajac has led the Spartans to the state championship game every single season. That is a 100% success rate on bringing his boys to the last game of the year. Over that time, the Spartans have 72 wins and only 5 losses. 3 of those L's coming in the state title game. He's only lost 2 regular season games in 6 years. And over the last 3 years in particular, Zajac has built the Spartans into the team to fear in small school football. 3 consecutive state titles and 39 straight wins. That is an active streak, so Grundy will try for a 4-peat this coming fall. A man who's approaching some very rarefied air among Iowa high school coaches, Travis Zajac, is our number 23 prep coach of the century. And number 22 is a coach whose winning streak Zajac will be chasing this fall, former Solon head coach Kevin Miller. Kevin spent 18 seasons as the Spartans head coach and only missed the playoffs once in that time, never had a losing record, and he joined rare company in the mid-2000s when he won 4 consecutive state championships between 2007 and 2010. A 42-game win streak over that stretch. He had another 3 years where he brought the Spartans to the state finals. Overall, 9 trips to the Unidome, 190 wins and only 32 losses in his 18 years as coach at Solon. Kevin, a former Solon quarterback, has been a member of all 5 state championships in Solon's football history. He helped establish Solon football as one of the most recognizable names in Iowa high school sports. Kevin Miller is our number 22 prep coach of the century. Number 21 on our list of the best prep coaches from the last 25 years is a man who's brought 4 different schools to the girls' state tournament, Bruce Dahl. Bruce began his coaching career at Allison Bristow, leading them to state in 2004. After that, he coached AGWSR to 4 state berths, including a state title in 2009. Then he really found his stride at Dyke New Hartford, where he coached for 14 seasons, leading the Wolverines to 7 consecutive state tournaments and 4 straight state titles from 2021 to 2024, something that only one other coach in Iowa history has ever done. And most recently, he led Cedar Rapids Prairie to state, continuing his personal run of 8 straight trips to the well. He's won over 550 games in his coaching career, and his 5 state titles are the 3rd most in Iowa history. A finalist for the National Coach of the Year in 2024, Bruce Dahl is our number 21 prep coach of the century. And starting off the top 20 is former City High girls cross country coach Tom Mittman. Tom led the Little Hawks for 20 years and had unparalleled success with the team every single season. He helped City High reach the state meet and won 5 state championships, along with his predecessors and successors, helping make City High the most decorated school in girls cross-country history, a model of consistency at the high school level, and a man who sets the standard in cross-country coaching circles. Tom Mittman is our number 20 prep coach of the century. Number 19 on our list of the best prep coaches from the 21st century is former Iowa City West tennis coach Mitch Gross. He spent 22 years as a Trojans coach, leading them to 8 state championships and 5 runner-up finishes. From 2011 to 2021, Mitch and the Trojans appeared in the 2A championship match every single year. No tennis coach in Iowa this century has more team titles than Mitch Gross. He coached 5 single state champions and another 4 state runners-up, coached another 4 double state title winners, a man who set the stage to make West one of the state's elite tennis programs. Mitch Gross is our number 19 prep coach of the century. And number 18, a man whose name is carried on this station's stories of the best coaches in Eastern Iowa, a coach who led his community through tragedy, has graced the cover of Sports Illustrated, and whose legend stands tall in Iowa, Ed Thomas. 37 years he coached at the high school level, almost all of which were spent with Parkersburg and then Applington-Parkersburg. He won 292 games, which is the 15th most of anyone who's ever coached high school football in Iowa, and he won over 77% of the games he ever coached. He reached 6 state title games, winning a pair of championships with AP in 1993 and then again in 2001. All told, he reached the playoffs 19 times in his career. Famously, he coached 5 players from this small 1A and 2A school to play in the NFL. In 2005, he was named the National Coach of the Year. Though his life ended in tragedy, Coach Thomas will always be remembered as one of the greatest to ever walk the sidelines in Iowa high school football. Ed Thomas is our number 18 prep coach of the century. Number 17 on our countdown of the best prep coaches of the 21st century is the father of our number 1 athlete of the century, Mike Hilmer. A veteran of 33 years of coaching, Mike's rise to statewide prominence truly began when he came to North Lynn and joined his father as a co-coach. But starting in 2017, that's when North Lynn truly became a dynasty. 7 straight years the Lynx went to the state title game, something no other basketball team in Iowa has ever done. He won 3 titles as a head coach and over a 9-year stretch had an overall record of 234 wins and only 9 losses, a run that few teams in any sport could ever dream of. Hilmer left North Lynn to become a superintendent at Bellevue, but he leaves behind one of the greatest legacies in Iowa history. Mike Hilmer is our number 17 prep coach of the century. At number 16, he's the top baseball coach on our list, Tom Jenk Jr. Every single one of his 42 seasons as a coach were spent at Dyersville-Beckman, where he won 1,088 games, the 4th most in Iowa history. He made 17 trips to the state tournament, 2nd most of any coach in Iowa, and he won 5 state titles, something only 5 other baseball coaches have done in Iowa. He made an additional 9 trips to the semifinals and finished as a state runner-up 7 times. In a community that in many ways is defined by baseball, Tom helped set the standard. A career that ended far too soon, Tom Jenk Jr. is our number 16 prep coach of the century. As we enter the top 15, we go right down 42nd Street to an all-time Iowa football legend, Dwayne Schulte. The man has embodied Xavier football ever since its inception in 1998. He has been leading the Saints for almost 30 years, and in that time, Dwayne has led Xavier to 11 appearances at the Unidome, 7 trips to the state title game, and 4 state championships. Since 2001, there have only been 3 seasons in which the Saints did not make the playoffs, and it hasn't happened in the lifetime of anybody on the roster. 19 consecutive seasons, Xavier has played postseason football. Dwayne Schulte approaching 250 career wins and has already established Xavier as one of the most respected programs statewide. Dwayne Schulte, our number 15 prep coach of the century. Number 14, another man who's been around for the entire lifespan of his program, Regina boys soccer coach, Dr. Rick LaRue. A private practice doctor for 4 decades, Rick's coaching gig is only a side hustle, but he's turned the Regals into a soccer dynasty. Since 2005, he's led Regina to 16 tournament appearances, only missing out on state once since 2008. He's guided the Regals to 8 state championships, tied for the most by any coach in Iowa history. Maybe most remarkably, Regina has never lost when they qualify for the title game. 8-0 in championship matches, and in 15 trips to state, the Regals are 14-1 in quarterfinal matches. The leader of one of the great dynasties in Iowa over the last 25 years, Rick LaRue, is our number 14 prep coach of the century. Number 13 on our countdown is one of the winningest coaches in high school football history in Iowa, a man whose statue now overlooks the Little Rose Bowl in West Branch, Butch Peterson. 40 years Butch spent as head coach of the Bears, winning 338 games, the ninth most in state history. He won over 80% of the games he coached. In 1988, Butch led West Branch to its first ever playoff appearance, and that year started a run of success that few coaches in Iowa have ever seen. 30 postseason appearances over the next 35 years. He led West Branch to 3 state championships and had a total of 10 appearances in the state semifinals. From 1990 to 1997, Butch led West Branch to 62 consecutive regular season wins, the second longest stretch in Iowa history. He was inducted into the Iowa Coaches Hall of Fame in 1994 and was named the National Coach of the Year in 2017. A coach taken from us far too soon, Butch Peterson is our number 13 prep coach of the century. And at number 12, the top running coach on our countdown, Iowa City West girls track and cross country coach Mike Parker. In 3 decades, Mike has seen an unprecedented amount of success at West, winning a combined 37 conference titles between track and cross country and 12 state championships. 7 on the track and 5 on the cross-country course. And then he's won another 9 state runner-up trophies. His track athletes have collected 26 Drake Relays flags, broke 9 all-time state championship records, 3 Drake Relays records, and 4 all-time Iowa Best records. He's a 3-time National Coach of the Year finalist, and in 2018 was named the National Girls Track and Field Coach of the Year. In 2022, he was inducted into the National High School Coaches Hall of Fame. He's coached 110 state track champions, 6 individual cross-country champions, and 9 All-Americans. A man whose success as a running coach is unparalleled in our state, Mike Parker is our number 12 prep coach of the century. Number 11 on our list. These two have shared much of their careers together, and they'll share a spot on our countdown. Grundy Center golf coaches Dennis Dirks and Rick Schubach. Dennis has led the Spartan boys team for 35 years and brought the Spartans to state over 20 times during that stretch. They've won 4 team state titles and had another 5 second-place team finishes. They've had another 3 individual state champions in that time, turning the Spartans into one of the best small school programs in Iowa. And his counterpart for most of that time was Grundy's girls coach, Rick Schubach. Rick retired a few years ago, but in his 30 years with the Spartans, he saw 5 individual champions and won a staggering 14 state team titles. That is more than any other golf team in Iowa history and more than most schools have won in any sport ever. The leaders of a long-standing boys and girls dynasty at Grundy Center, Dennis Dirks and Rick Schubach, are our number 11 prep coaches of the century. Number 10, the top soccer coach on our list, Iowa City West boys coach Brad Stiles. Brad took over for the Trojans in 2001 and has turned that program into an annual powerhouse at the state level. He's won 8 state championships, which is tied with his counterpart at Regina, Rick LaRue, for the most in Iowa history. Since Brad's first season, the Trojans have only missed out on the state tournament once over the past quarter century. 22 appearances in 23 seasons, a total of 14 appearances in the state title match, a 41-16 overall record of the state tournament, a winner of over 430 high school soccer games since the start of his tenure, and a man who's always dressed for the occasion. Brad Stiles is our number 10 prep coach of the century. At number 9 on our list is a spot shared by 3 men who have turned Don Bosco into a high school wrestling dynasty: Tom Kettman, Tom Hogan, and Chris Ortner. Kettman started this century of success for the Dons, winning 5 traditional state titles and 7 duals titles, and coached another 6 runner-up finishes, coached 89 individual state qualifiers and 17 champions in the span of just 11 seasons. Kettman was followed by Tom Hogan, who coached for the next decade and won 4 traditional titles and 3 duals titles. And just in the last 4 years, Hogan was succeeded by Chris Ortner, who in 4 years, has won a traditional team title all 4 seasons he's been the coach. He's also 4 for 4, winning a dual state title every year, and he's already coached 13 individual state champions. 3 men who have helped keep Don Bosco as the state's ultimate wrestling dynasty, all 3 of whom wrestled at Don Bosco under a legend of the 20th century in Dan Moshik. Tom Kettman, Tom Hogan, and Chris Ortner are together our number 9 prep coaches of the century. And number 8, one of the longest tenured head coaches our state has ever known, Waterloo Columbus girls tennis coach David Will. He's been coaching the Sailors since 1974. Over half a century he's served at Columbus, and that time winning over 660 duels, never losing more than 4 duels matches in any season in his career. He's coached 8 singles champions, 27 doubles champions, and 22 team state champions. Those 22 state titles are more than any coach in any sport in Iowa history. That Sailor girls team has not missed the state tournament since 1994. 30 straight years, Columbus has finished among the state's top 8. Maybe the most consistently successful coach our state has ever known, David Will is our number 8 prep coach of the century. Number 7 on our countdown, and the top girls basketball coach on this list is recently retired Xavier coach Tom Lilly. A carryover from Regis High School, Tom was named the girls' coach at the outset of Xavier's existence, and until next season, he's the only coach the program has ever known. In total, 40 years worth of coaching girls hoops, and over the last 27 seasons at Xavier, Tom Lilly won 6 state championships, the second most of any coach in Iowa history. In his 4 decades, Tom led 18 teams to the state tournament, won almost 650 games, and was named the state's Coach of the Year 6 times. He coached 16 players to first-team All-State honors, already a member of the IGCA Hall of Fame. A man who's going to be nearly impossible to replace, Tom Lilly, is our number 7 prep coach of the century. And number 6, another MVC hoops coach and the top boys basketball coach on our countdown, Iowa City West's Steve Bergman, another coach who just retired after last season. Bergman had been with the Trojans for 35 years and built an unparalleled resume in Iowa City, bringing the Trojans to 19 state tournaments, tied for the most of any coach in any class in state history. That includes 10 straight between 2011 and 2020. He is the only coach in Iowa history to lead a team to 10 straight tournament appearances. Equally impressive are the team's 9 trips to the title game and 6 state championships, third most all time, including 3 straight between 2012 and 2014. Until this season, Bergman was the only coach to ever lead a 4A team to a three-peat. Over 660 wins is the 10th most in state history. Another coach who leaves impossible shoes to fill, Steve Bergman is our number 6 prep coach of the century. Number 5 on our countdown, and one of the all-time greats in high school volleyball, Dyke New Hartford's Diane Harms. In 22 seasons, she has built the Wolverines into a dynasty. 18 state tournament appearances overall, and they've only missed state once since 2007. She's won 9 state championships, the third most of any coach in Iowa history, and in her career has taken 15 teams to the state semifinals. She's one of only 5 coaches to reach 1,100 career volleyball wins, and she's already a member of the National Coaching Hall of Fame. Diane Harms is our number 5 prep coach of the century. And number 4, the top softball coach on our countdown and one of the best softball coaches our country has ever seen, Larry Niemeyer. Larry spent 52 years as a high school softball coach. He led 20 Jefferson teams to the state tournament, winning 3 state titles, 5 total if you count his time at Adel, and had 8 top 3 finishes with the Jayhawks. His career total of 28 trips to state are the most in Iowa history, and his 2,089 career wins are not only the most by any coach in Iowa. No softball coach in America is even within 600 wins of Niemeyer's record, and it likely will never be broken. But his legacy doesn't just end on the diamond. He was also a girls basketball coach for much of his career, winning 871 games, the third most in Iowa history, and leading Jeff to a state hoops title in 1993, along with a career total 14 state tournament appearances. A coaching giant in our state and maybe the most successful two-sport coach in Iowa history, Larry Niemeyer, is our number 4 prep coach of the century. Our number 3 prep coach of the century and the top volleyball coach on our countdown, former Wahlert coach Tom Keating. Tom's legacy with the Golden Eagles spans a good chunk of both the 20th and 21st centuries. Over 24 years walking the sideline, Tom led the Golden Eagles to 11 state volleyball championships, the second most in Iowa history. Outside of Tammy Verbeek, there's really no volleyball coach whose career is more decorated than Tom's. He went to 15 state semifinals and led Wahlert to 16 total state tournaments. More than 20 years after leaving the coaching scene, Tom still is ranked in the top 20 all-time with 738 career wins. A man who helped propel Wahlert into dynasty mode and currently is serving the state in the IHSAA, Tom Keating is our number 3 prep coach of the century. And number 2, the top football coach on our countdown, former Regina headman Marv Cook. A man who played under another coach on our list, Butch Peterson at West Branch. Marv took over at Regina in 2007, and over the next 14 years turned the Regals into one of the greatest dynasties our state has ever known. In 14 years, he won 7 state championships, the 3rd most in Iowa history, but not too many other coaches could say they won a state title in literally half of the seasons they were head coach. From 2010 to 2014, the Regals won 56 games in a row, which ties the longest win streak in Iowa history. In his 14 seasons, Marv Cook totaled 159 wins and only 20 losses, a winner of 89% of the games he ever coached. The best win percentage in Iowa history. Marv Cook is our number 2 prep coach of the century.
Explode up!
For 46 years, Brad Smith was one of the best coaches in Iowa, and some could argue he is one of the best wrestling coaches our country has ever seen. But his coaching journey only started because he had his own chance to learn from one of the greatest.
When I was at Iowa, after my senior year, I started working wrestling camps with Dan Gable. And being around him and learning from him during the last couple of years, I decided I wanted to get into coaching.
And just like his mentor, decades of success followed Brad Smith. In his first 13 seasons at Lisbon, he won 10 state titles. Then he took over at City High, where in 20 years, he won an additional 5 state titles. Then back to Lisbon for another 4 titles. All told, 704 duels wins, the most all-time, 19 state championships, the most all-time, another 18 state runner-up finishes. Wherever Brad Smith went, success wasn't far behind.
I think I have good rapport with the kids. I think if they respect you and you know how to coach them. My practice were always really organized. I've always studied the sport. I've never been complacent, so I always wanted to pick up more knowledge, and I kept all my athletes up with the new techniques. Go!
And in wrestling, of course, it was not only about the team success. Brad coached 323 state qualifiers, 180 place winners, 65 state champions, 25 All-Americans, and 4 four-time state champions. All of those numbers are more than any other coach in Iowa history.
I ran out of space, so I started putting plaques over here and over here and up there. Our kids, when they stepped on the mat, they were in shape. Number one, they had to be in shape because I worked their butts off. But, you know, technically they were ready, physically they were ready, and most of all, mentally.
This past season, Brad came out of retirement for one more year at Clear Creek, Amana to help out a coaching friend who had been deployed in the Army. But now the retirement is truly setting in. Brad has a lot more time to set aside for his wife and his grandkids.
We got 6 grandkids, so we got a lot to do and spending time with them. So, you know, that's important. I need to give back to her because she's supported me for all these years. I owe her to, you know, spend more time with her and the family.
A well-deserved retirement for a 2-time Iowa Coach of the Year, a 3-time National Coach of the Year, and the greatest wrestling coach in state history. Brad Smith is our #1 prep coach of the century.